The piano key sounds before I see her face. One note. Clean. Fragile. Like glass breaking in reverse. I freeze in the doorway of room 407, my latex gloves still dripping from the sanitizer station down the hall. The clock above the nurse's desk reads 1:14 a.m., and the entire fourth floor of St. Meridian's private medical center sits wrapped in that thick, breathing silence that only money can buy. This isn't the kind of hospital where people scream or cry loudly. Pain here wears expensive pajamas and hides behind mahogany doors. But that sound, that single piano note, doesn't belong to wealth or silence. It belongs to a child. I push the door open slowly, my sneakers making no sound against the polished floor. The girl sits cross-legged on her bed, both hands raised in the air like she's holding something invisible. Her fingers move, pressing, lifting, dancing, but there's nothing there. Just air, just memory. Luna, I whisper. She doesn't turn toward my voice. Her eyes stare past me, clouded and unfocused. The accident report said she lost her sight 3 months ago. The same crash that killed her mother and left her father, Caspian Thorne, the tech billionaire who owns half the city, too broken to visit more than once a week. I'm playing Moonlight Sonata, she says softly. Her voice is 7 years old, but sounds like it's lived 70. Mama used to play it before bedtime. Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. My chest tightens. I know that ache, that hollow space where music used to live. My own mama taught me piano on a second-hand upright that barely held its tune. She believed music could heal anything, poverty, heartbreak, sickness. Then her heart gave out on a Tuesday morning, and I haven't touched a piano since. Couldn't. Every key felt like a lie. But watching Luna's small fingers trace invisible melodies in the darkness does something to me. Would you like to play on a real piano? I ask. Her hands stop midair. There's one here, in the recreation room. Nobody uses it. I could will it in tomorrow night if you want. For the first time since I started my shift, Luna smiles. It's small, barely there, but it cracks something open inside my chest that I thought I'd sealed shut. Promise? She whispers. Promise. I check her four-line, adjust her blankets, and write notes in her chart that won't mention anything about pianos or promises. The hospital administration doesn't pay me to make emotional connections. They pay me to monitor vitals and dispense medications and keep the elite clients comfortable enough to write generous checks. But as I walk back into the hallway, I hear it again, that phantom piano note still ringing in my mind. What I don't know yet is that someone else heard it too. Someone standing in the shadows at the far end of the corridor, watching through the narrow window of his daughter's door, his jaw clenched tight and his hands buried deep in the pockets of a suit that costs more than my yearly salary. Someone who hasn't heard his daughter laugh in 93 days. Someone who's about to discover that the lonely night nurse playing invisible songs with his blind daughter is either the best thing that's happened to his family or the most dangerous. Do you think keeping promises to patients crosses professional lines? Or is compassion the real medicine? Drop your thoughts below. The piano weighs more than I expected. I'm pushing it down the fourth floor hallway at 12:47 a.m., trying not to bang it into the walls while my supervisor, Nurse Claudette, covers for me at the station. The old upright rolls unevenly on wheels that squeak like they're protesting every inch. Sweat drips down my spine under my scrubs. The recreation room hadn't been touched in months. The piano sat buried under stacked chairs and forgotten board games, covered in dust thick as fur. But I made a promise. Room 407's door is cracked open, and I can hear Luna's breathing before I see her. She's awake, sitting up in bed, her head tilted like she's listening to something only she can hear. Is that? She asks. I hear wheels. You've got good ears, baby girl. I guide the piano through the doorway, parking it beside her bed. My fingers brush the keys accidentally, and a chord rings out, discordant, out of tune but alive. Luna gasps. Can I touch it? I help her out of bed, her small feet finding the floor as I guide her hands to the piano bench. She sits carefully, both palms flat on the closed fallboard like she's introducing herself. Her fingers tremble. Mama's piano was bigger, she says quietly. It was black and shiny. Daddy bought it for her when they got married. She played every Sunday morning. What happened to it? Luna's face goes still. Daddy locked the music room after the funeral. He said hearing it made him too sad. The air in room 407 suddenly feels heavier. I think about Caspian Thorne, the man the nurses gossip about during shift changes. They say he's ruthless in business, cold as winter steel, that he fired an entire department once because someone missed a deadline. They say he loved his wife so much he can't even speak her name anymore. They say a lot of things, but none of them explain why a man worth billions can't sit in a room with his grieving daughter for more than 20 minutes. Let's play something, I say, lifting the fallboard. The keys are yellowed, some chipped, but when I press middle C, the note rings clear enough. Luna's hands find mine. Her fingers are so small they barely span 3 keys. I don't remember how. Then we'll remember together. I start with something simple, twinkle, twinkle, little star, guiding her right hand through the melody while my left plays the harmony. She's hesitant at first, pressing too soft, releasing too fast. But by the 3rd time through, her fingers start to remember. Muscle memory is a strange kind of magic. The body holds what the mind forgets. Halfway through the 4th verse, Luna starts humming, then singing. Her voice is thin and off-key, but it's the first time I've heard her make any sound that isn't wrapped in sadness. She's smiling now, really smiling, and I feel something crack open in my chest again. That same sealed place where I buried my mama's memory. We play for 30 minutes, maybe longer. Time moves differently at night in hospitals. When Luna finally yawns, I help her back to bed. Her eyes are closed, but she's still smiling. Miss Alara, she whispers as I pull the blanket up to her chin. Yes, baby. Do you think Daddy still remembers how to play? The question sits in my throat like a stone. I think about the rumors. About the man who built an empire but can't build a bridge to his own daughter. About grief that calculates profit margins but can't calculate forgiveness. I think your daddy remembers everything, I say carefully. He just forgot how to listen. Luna nods slowly, her breathing already evening out into sleep. I turn the piano back out, and that's when I see him. Just for a second, a shadow at the door's window. Tall, broad-shouldered, perfectly still. By the time I reach the hallway, it's empty. But the air smells like expensive cologne and something else, something I can't name. Something that feels like being watched. Has someone you loved ever shut down so completely you wondered if they'd ever come back? Comment below. The email arrives at 6:52 a.m., right as I'm clocking out. Subject: report to executive floor, 9 a.m. No explanation. No context. Just a digital summons to the part of St. Meridian's where regular staff don't go. The glass-walled offices with skyline views and coffee that doesn't come from a break room pot. Claudette sees my face. What's wrong? I'm being called upstairs. Her eyes widen. Did someone complain? I don't know, but my stomach knows. My stomach is twisting like I swallowed broken glass. I go home, shower, change into the only professional clothes I own, black slacks, and a white blouse that I bought for my mama's funeral. I stare at myself in the bathroom mirror and see her staring back. Same dark eyes, same stubborn chin, same foolish heart that thinks kindness fixes everything. Don't let them make you small, I whisper to my reflection. The executive floor smells like leather and power. The receptionist, a woman with a smile that doesn't reach her eyes, tells me to wait in conference room B. I sit in a chair that probably costs more than my car and watch the city spread out below me through floor-to-ceiling windows. Then the door opens. Caspian Thorne walks in and the air changes. He's taller than I expected, broader. He wears a charcoal suit that fits like it was grown on his body. And his face, Lord, his face is all sharp angles and controlled fury. His eyes are dark, calculating, the kind that see through walls and excuses and pretty lies. Miss Alara Quinn. His voice is smooth but edged. Not a question, a statement. Mr. Thorne. I stand. My knees wobble, but I lock them straight. He doesn't sit, just stands there with his hands in his pockets, studying me like I'm a problem he's trying to solve. You've been playing piano with my daughter. I didn't think it would cause harm. That's not what I asked. He takes a step closer. You're a medical professional, Miss Quinn, not a music teacher, not a therapist. You're assigned to monitor vitals and dispense medications. Playing piano isn't in your job description. My pulse hammers in my throat. Luna needs professional care. His jaw tightens. Do you understand the liability this creates? Unauthorized contact outside medical protocols. Emotional dependency. If something goes wrong, what could go wrong from kindness? The words fly out before I can stop them. Caspian's eyes flash. Excuse me, I should back down. Apologize. Nod and smile and shuffle out of this glass tower with my jaw barely intact. But I think about Luna's smile last night, about her small fingers finding the keys, about the music that brought her back from wherever grief had taken her. Your daughter doesn't need another doctor, I say quietly. She needs someone to remind her that joy still exists, that her mama's memory doesn't have to hurt forever. That music, don't. His voice drops to something dangerous. Don't tell me what my daughter needs. Silence fills the space between us. Outside, the city moves, cars and people and lives that don't stop for grief or anger or fathers who build walls so high they can't see over them. I could have you fired, Caspian says finally. One phone call. You be escorted out by security before lunch. Then do it. He blinks, like I just spoke a language he doesn't understand. But if you let me stay, I continue, my voice steadier now. I'll keep playing with Luna. Every night. Because that little girl has been sitting in the dark for 3 months, and last night was the first time I saw a light come back in her face. So fire me if you want. But you'll have to explain to your daughter why the music stopped. For a long moment, Caspian just stares at me. His jaw works like he's chewing words he can't spit out. Then he walks to the window, his back to me, his shoulders rigid. You may continue the piano sessions, he says, his voice flat. On one condition. You never, ever, speak to me again about what my daughter needs. Do you understand? Yes, sir. And Miss Quinn. He turns, his eyes meeting mine. Love isn't weakness. But in my world, it's the fastest way to lose everything. Remember that. I nod, turn toward the door. But as my hand touches the handle, I whisper just loud enough for him to hear. In my world, Mr. Thorne, love is the only thing that keeps people breathing when everything else fails. I don't wait for his response. I just walk out, my heart pounding, wondering if I just save my job or sign my own termination papers. Would you risk your career for someone else's healing? Let us know below. 3 weeks pass. The music continues. Every night at midnight, I wheel the piano into room 407. Luna waits for me now, already sitting up in bed, her fingers flexing in anticipation. We've graduated from Twinkle, Twinkle to Beethoven's Für Elise, simplified but recognizable. Her left hand is getting stronger. Her right hand is learning to lead. And she's laughing again. Real laughter that echoes down the empty hallways and makes the other night nurses smile when they pass by. But something else is happening too. Something I don't notice at first. It starts small, a feeling, like being watched. I'll be playing with Luna, both of us lost in the music, and suddenly the hair on my neck will stand up. I'll glance at the door, but the hallway is empty. Just shadows and fluorescent lights and that breathing hospital silence. Except it doesn't feel empty. On Tuesday night, I find a coffee cup on the nurse's station counter. Expensive coffee, the kind that comes from the private executive lounge upstairs. Still warm. Claudette swears she didn't see anyone. On Thursday, Luna asks me a question that stops my hands mid-chord. Miss Alara, do you think Daddy can hear us playing? Why would you ask that, baby? She tilts her head, her clouded eyes staring past me. Because sometimes I smell his cologne. The one Mama bought him for Christmas. It smells like trees and rain. My chest tightens. Maybe you're just remembering. Maybe. But she doesn't sound convinced. That night, after Luna falls asleep, I wheel the piano back toward the recreation room. The 4th floor is tomb quiet. My sneakers squeak against the tile. The wheels rattle. Then I hear it. A door closing. Soft. Deliberate. I spin around. The hallway behind me is empty. But there's a light on in the family waiting area. The small room at the end of the corridor where visitors sit during long surgeries or difficult nights. I shouldn't investigate. I should mind my business, return the piano, clock out, go home. But my feet carry me forward anyway. The waiting room door is cracked open. Through the gap, I see him. Caspian Thorne sits alone on the leather couch, his head in his hands, his expensive suit wrinkled like he's been wearing it for days. There's a tablet on the coffee table in front of him. Security footage, I realize. Black and white images of room 407. Of me and Luna at the piano. He's been watching us. Every night. My breath catches. He looks up suddenly, his eyes locking with mine through the crack in the door. For a moment, neither of us moves. Then he stands, and I should run, should disappear, should pretend I saw nothing. But he opens the door fully, and we stand there in the fluorescent light. Two people separated by wealth and grief and 1,000 unspoken things. She laughed tonight, he says quietly. I heard it through the camera audio. She hasn't laughed since the accident. I don't know what to say, so I say nothing. My wife, his voice cracks. He stops, swallows, starts again. My wife used to play that same Beethoven piece. Luna would dance around the music room in her pajamas. I'd watch from the doorway, just like I'm watching now. Just like he doesn't finish, just turns away, his shoulders shaking. And I realize something that breaks me. Caspian Thorne isn't cold. He's terrified. Terrified of grief. Terrified of music. Terrified of anything that reminds him of the woman he lost and the daughter he doesn't know how to reach anymore. Mr. Thorne, I whisper, when's the last time you played piano? He laughs, bitter, sharp. I don't play. Luna thinks you do. Luna's wrong. Is she? I take a step closer. Or did you just forget that healing doesn't happen in silence? It happens when we're brave enough to make noise again. His eyes meet mine. Dark, stormy, full of something I can't name. Then his phone buzzes. He glances at it, his face hardening back into that corporate mask. Go home, Miss Quinn. It's late. Yes, sir. But as I turn to leave, I hear him whisper, so quiet I almost miss it. Thank you. I don't turn back. I just walk away, my heart pounding, wondering if I just witnessed a man beginning to thaw, or if I imagined the whole thing. Have you ever watched someone you care about lock themselves away from the world? Share your story below. The rumor starts on a Monday. I don't hear it first. I'm too busy running labs and checking vitals and trying to survive another double shift. But Claudette pulls me aside during lunch break, her face tight with worry. Alara, we need to talk. My stomach drops. What happened? Corinne's been spreading stories about you and Mr. Thorne. Corinne Vadi, the senior nurse who's worked at St. Meridian's for 15 years and treats the place like her personal kingdom. She's always hated me. Hated that patients request me by name. Hated that I got assigned to the premium 4th floor after only 2 years. Hated that I don't play her political games. What kind of stories? I ask, but I already know. My chest is tightening, my lungs forgetting how to work properly. Claudette lowers her voice. She's telling people you're getting too close to Mr. Thorne, that you're playing music for his daughter to manipulate him, that you've been seen alone with him after hours. That's insane. I've barely spoken to the man. I know that. You know that. But Corinne's been whispering to the right people. Administration is asking questions. The cafeteria suddenly feels too bright, too loud. I think about that night in the waiting room. About Caspian standing there, grief cracking his armor. About the security footage he watches every night. This is about Luna. I say, not him. Doesn't matter. Claudette's face is sad. Rich people don't play by the same rules. If administration thinks you're causing problems for their biggest donor, I'm gone. She nods. That afternoon, I'm called to human resources. The meeting lasts 12 minutes. They use words like professional boundaries and conflict of interest and pending investigation. They don't fire me, not yet, but they suspend me. 2 weeks, without pay, pending review. I clean out my locker in silence. My hands shake as I pack my stethoscope, my spare scrubs, the photo of my mama I keep taped inside the door. Other nurses avoid my eyes. Only Claudette hugs me goodbye. This isn't right, she whispers. I know, but knowing doesn't change anything. I drive home in a daze. The city blurs past my windows. All glass towers and expensive cars and lives that don't stop for people like me. When I finally reach my apartment, I sit in my car for 20 minutes, trying to remember how to breathe. My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Luna's been crying all day. She thinks you abandoned her. She won't eat, won't sleep, just asks for you over and over. Please call. Dr. Matthews. The phone slips from my hands. I think about Luna's small fingers on the piano keys, about her laughter filling the empty hallways, about the light that came back into her face after 3 months of darkness. And I think about Caspian Thorne watching us through security cameras, too afraid to open the door, but too desperate to look away. I think about justice. Real justice. The kind that doesn't wait for permission or approval. Then I pick up my phone and make a call. Not to the hospital. Not to Dr. Matthews. Not to anyone who can fix this through official channels. I call someone who can fix it another way. Someone who knows exactly how powerful men operate. Someone who's been waiting for me to ask for help. The phone rings twice before he answers. Marcus, I say, I need you to tell me everything you know about Caspian Thorne. If you had evidence that could save your career but destroy someone else's reputation, would you use it? Drop your answer below and hit that subscribe button, because what happens next will test everything a lair believes about justice, mercy, and the cost of doing what's right. Marcus arrives at my apartment with a manila folder thick as a Bible. My brother's always been the smart one, the one who went to law school while I went to nursing school, the one who reads contracts for a living and knows how to find dirt on anyone. He drops the folder on my kitchen table like it weighs nothing, but I can feel the gravity of what's inside. You sure you want to do this? He asks. I think about Luna crying, about 2 weeks without pay, about Corinne's lies spreading through the hospital like poison. Show me. Marcus opens the folder. Inside are printouts, emails, financial records, witness statements. My eyes scan the pages and my stomach turns. But if I destroy her to save myself, I'm just proving that I'm exactly what she says I am. Someone who manipulates people to get what I want. Marcus closes his eyes. You're too good for this world. Maybe, but I'd rather be too good than not good enough. He starts to argue, but my phone rings. Unknown number. I answer. Miss Quinn. The voice is crisp, professional. This is Victoria Chun, Mr. Thorne's personal attorney. Mr. Thorne would like to meet with you tomorrow at 9 a.m. regarding your suspension. My heart stops. I don't think that's appropriate. Mr. Thorne disagrees. The address is being texted to you now. Please don't be late. She hangs up before I can respond. Marcus watches me. What was that? I say slowly, Caspian Thorne just entered the game. The next morning, I arrive at an address that isn't the hospital or any office building. It's a house, a mansion, really, hidden behind iron gates and manicured hedges in the wealthiest part of the city. The kind of place that doesn't have numbers on the mailbox because everyone who needs to know already knows. Security lets me through. A housekeeper leads me inside. The house smells like expensive wood and old money. Everything is pristine. White marble floors, crystal chandeliers, art that probably costs more than my entire life. But there's something missing. Something I can't name at first. Then I realize there's no music. No sound at all except my footsteps echoing through empty rooms. The housekeeper opens a door, and I step into a study lined with bookshelves. Caspian stands at the window, his back to me, staring out at gardens that stretch forever. Thank you for coming, he says without turning. Did I have a choice? No. He turns, and his face looks different in daylight. Older, more tired. I reviewed the security footage from the hospital. All of it. Every hallway, every entrance, every shift change. My pulse quickens. And you've never been alone with me except that one night in the waiting room. You've never asked me for anything. Never tried to manipulate or scheme or play games. He walks toward me slowly. Corinne Vale, however, has been stealing from the hospital for years. I blink. You know about that? I know everything that happens in buildings I fund, Miss Quinn. I've known about Corinne for 18 months. I've been waiting for the right moment to act. Why tell me? His eyes meet mine, dark, intense, full of something that feels like respect. Because you could have used that information to save yourself. My attorney informed me that your brother acquired the evidence yesterday, but you didn't use it. Why? I swallow hard. Because destroying someone else's life to save mine doesn't make me a good person. It makes me just like the people who hurt me. Caspian stares at me for a long moment. Then he does something I never expected. He smiles. Not the corporate mask. Not the practiced expression. A real smile that transforms his entire face. My wife used to say the same thing, he says quietly. She believed kindness was the only currency that mattered. I told her she was naive, that the world would eat her alive. His smile fades. I was wrong. Before I can respond, a door opens behind me, and Luna walks in, led by a nurse I don't recognize. "Daddy," she calls out. "Is Miss Alara really here?" My throat closes. "Luna, baby." She runs toward my voice, and I catch her, and she buries her face in my shoulder and starts crying, deep, heaving sobs that shake her whole body. "I thought you left me," she whispers. "I thought you didn't want to play anymore." "Never, baby. Never." Caspian watches us, his jaw tight. Then he speaks, and his voice cracks in a way I've never heard before. "Miss Quinn, I'm not good at apologies. I'm not good at asking for help. But my daughter needs you. And he stops, breathes. "I need you to teach me how to play piano again." The words hang in the air like smoke. What would you do if the person who tried to destroy you suddenly needed your help? Comment below. The hospital board meeting happens on a Thursday. I'm not invited. Suspended employees don't get seats at the table where their futures are decided. But Marcus calls me at 10:37 a.m. with news that makes my hands shake. Caspian Thorne just walked into the meeting unannounced. He says, with his legal team, and footage. What kind of footage? Everything. Security cameras showing Corinne entering restricted areas. Pharmacy logs. Time-stamped evidence of her stealing medications and falsifying records. He's presenting it all right now. I sit down hard on my couch. Why would he do that? Because, little sister, you've got a billionaire on your side now. The meeting lasts 47 minutes. I know because I watch the clock on my wall tick through every second, imagining what's happening in that boardroom. Imagining Corinne's face when the evidence drops. Imagining the administrators scrambling to save face. Marcus calls back at 11:24 a.m. "You're reinstated. Effective immediately. Full back pay." And Corinne Vale is being escorted out by security as we speak. I should feel victorious. Relieved. Something. But all I feel is tired. "Marcus, I didn't want this. I didn't want her destroyed. I know. But sometimes justice happens whether we ask for it or not. And sometimes powerful people use their power the right way." He pauses. Thorne also did something else. He threatened to pull all his funding from St. Meridian's unless they implement new protocols for staff treatment and patient emotional care. He's demanding music therapy be added to pediatric services, starting with Luna's floor. My breath catches. He's funding a music program? He's funding your music program, Alara. He wants you to run it. Part-time nurse. Part-time music therapist. Full salary for both. He's calling it the Simone Thorne Memorial Initiative. Simone. His wife's name. I close my eyes and see her, a woman I never met but feel like I know. A woman who played Beethoven and believed in kindness and raised a daughter who still searches for joy in the darkness. "When do I start?" I whisper. "Monday. If you want it." I want it. That evening, I return to St. Meridian's to collect my things from the locker they'd cleared out. The fourth floor feels different now. Lighter somehow, like a storm passed and left clean air behind. Nurses smile at me. Dr. Matthews shakes my hand and apologizes. But I don't care about any of that. I only care about the little girl in room 407. Luna's awake when I enter, sitting up in bed with her hands folded in her lap. She turns her head toward the sound of my footsteps. "Miss Alara? Hey, baby girl." She launches herself at me, and I catch her, and we hold each other while the monitors beep softly and the city glows through the window. "Daddy told me you're coming back," she says into my shoulder. "Forever this time. Forever and ever." And he said, she pulls back, her clouded eyes wide. He said he wants to learn piano again. With us. Together. My chest tightens. He told you that. He promised. And Daddy never breaks promises anymore. I don't know when Caspian changed. Maybe it was that night in the waiting room. Maybe it was watching security footage of his daughter laughing for the first time in months. Maybe it was realizing that grief doesn't heal in silence. It heals in the brave, messy act of making noise again. But something shifted, something fundamental. That night, at midnight, I wheel the piano back into room 407. Luna sits on the bench, her fingers already moving before I even open the fallboard. We're halfway through Moonlight Sonata when I hear the door open behind us. Caspian walks in. He's not wearing a suit, just dark jeans and a sweater that makes him look almost human. He stands there awkwardly, hands in his pockets, like he's not sure he's allowed to be here. There's room on the bench, I say softly. He hesitates. Then he crosses the room and sits beside his daughter. Luna reaches for his hand, and he takes it, and for a moment they just sit there, father and daughter, both lost, both found. I haven't played since the funeral, Caspian admits. I don't know if I remember. Then we'll remember together, Luna says, echoing the same words I said to her weeks ago. I guide his left hand to the keys. His fingers are stiff at first, resistant. But slowly, note by note, the muscle memory returns. He plays the bass line while Luna handles the melody and I fill in the harmony. It's not perfect. We stumble. We lose the rhythm. We have to start over twice. But it's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. Because it's not about perfection. It's about three broken people learning to make music from their grief. When the song ends, Luna leans against her father's shoulder. Mama would have liked this, she whispers. Caspian's voice breaks. Yeah, baby. She would have loved it. I stand to leave, to give them space, to let them have this moment. But Caspian looks up at me, and his eyes are wet, and he says 4 words that change everything. Thank you, Miss Quinn. Not thank you for the music. Not thank you for helping my daughter. Just thank you for reminding him that love isn't weakness. That grief can transform instead of destroy. That sometimes the quietest justice is the kind that heals instead of harms. Have you ever witnessed someone choose healing over revenge? Share your story below and hit that like button. The Simone Thorne Memorial Music Initiative launches 3 months later. It's bigger than I imagined. A full program with dedicated space on the 4th floor, real instruments, trained therapists, and funding for any child who needs it. The walls are painted soft blue. The piano isn't the old upright anymore. It's a Steinway Grand that Caspian donated, the same model his wife used to play. Luna's the first official patient, but she's not alone anymore. There are 6 other children now, kids with cancer, with injuries, with disabilities, all learning that music can heal what medicine can't touch. And every Tuesday and Thursday evening, Caspian comes. He sits at the piano with Luna and me, and we play. Sometimes Beethoven, sometimes Chopin, sometimes songs Luna makes up on the spot. Melodies that have no name, but somehow say everything. The hospital staff watches us with something like wonder. The cold billionaire playing piano with his blind daughter, and the nurse who refused to give up on either of them. It's the kind of story people whisper about during shift changes. The kind that restores faith in things like kindness and second chances and the possibility that even the most frozen hearts can thaw. But not everyone's happy about it. Corinne Vale filed a lawsuit. Wrongful termination, defamation, emotional distress. Her lawyers are good. The case is moving forward. And even though I'm not named in the suit, I know it's really about me. About revenge. About proving that good people don't always win. Marcus tells me not to worry. Thorne's legal team will destroy her. She doesn't have a chance. But I do worry, because I know how the world works. I know that sometimes the truth doesn't matter as much as who has the better lawyer. And I know that even when you do the right thing, consequences still follow. On a rainy Wednesday night, I'm cleaning up the music room after a session when Caspian appears in the doorway. He's drenched, his hair plastered to his forehead, his expensive coat dripping water on the floor. We need to talk, he says. My stomach drops. About the lawsuit, about everything. He steps inside, closing the door behind him. Corinne's lawyers subpoenaed the security footage. All of it, including the night in the waiting room when we talked alone. So they're building a narrative, claiming that you manipulated me emotionally to secure the music program funding. that you used Luna as leverage to get close to me. My vision blurs. That's not true. I know that. You know that. But juries don't care about truth. They care about stories. And Curran's lawyers are very good at telling stories. I sink into the piano bench. What do? Caspian kneels in front of me. This powerful man in his expensive coat, kneeling on the floor like he's the one asking for help. We fight, he says. But I need to know you're ready for what that means. They're going to dig into your life, your finances, your relationships. They're going to try to paint you as a gold digger, a schemer, someone who preys on vulnerable families. Let them. My voice is steady now. I know who I am. I know why I'm here. And why is that, Miss Quinn? The question hangs between us. I could give the safe answer, the professional answer. I could say it's about the music or the children or my mother's legacy. But I'm tired of safe answers. Because, I say quietly, Luna needed someone to believe joy was still possible. And you needed someone to prove that love isn't the enemy. Fear is. And maybe I needed both of you to remind me that my mama was right. That kindness is the only currency that matters. Caspian stares at me. Then, slowly, he reaches out and takes my hand. His palm is warm, calloused in places I didn't expect. A pianist's hand. Alara, he says, and it's the first time he's used my first name. If we do this, if we fight this lawsuit together, people are going to talk. They're going to assume things about us, about why I'm defending you so fiercely. Are they wrong to assume? The question escapes before I can stop it. Heat floods my face. Caspian's grip tightens. I don't know, he admits. 6 months ago, I would have said emotions are liabilities. That letting anyone close is dangerous. But you, he stops, breathes. You broke through every wall I built. Not by force, just by being exactly who you are. Outside, thunder rolls across the city. Rain hammers the windows. I'm not asking you to feel anything you don't, Caspian continues. I'm just asking you to trust me. To let me stand beside you when this gets ugly. Because it will get ugly. I think about everything that brought us here. The midnight piano sessions. The man behind the door. The board meeting showdown. Luna's laughter returning. 2 broken people learning to make music from their pain. Okay, I whisper. We fight. Caspian smiles. That real smile that transforms his face. Together. He stands, pulling me up with him. For a moment, we just stand there, close enough that I can smell his cologne, trees and rain, just like Luna said, and feel the heat radiating from his body. Then his phone rings. He glances at it, and his face changes. That's my lawyer. The hearing's been moved up. Tomorrow morning. Tomorrow. Curran's team is pushing for an expedited trial. They think they can win quickly. He meets my eyes. Can you be ready? I think about my mama. About all the times she chose kindness over bitterness. About the piano she played until her heart gave out. I was born ready, I say. Would you fight for someone even if it meant risking everything you built? Let us know in the comments. The courtroom smells like old wood and recycled air. I sit at the defendant's table beside Caspian's legal team. 3 lawyers in suits that cost more than my car, all carrying briefcases stuffed with evidence. Caspian sits directly behind me in the gallery. I can feel his presence like heat against my back. Across the aisle, Corinne sits with her lawyers. She's dressed conservatively. Navy suit, minimal makeup, hair pulled back. She looks like someone's grandmother. Not a thief. Not someone who tried to destroy an innocent person to cover her crimes. The judge enters. We rise. The trial begins. Curran's lead attorney is a woman named Patricia Marsh. Silver hair, shark eyes, voice like broken glass. She starts her opening statement with a story. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this case is about predatory behavior. About a young nurse who saw an opportunity in a grieving billionaire and his traumatized daughter. A nurse who used music, something beautiful and innocent, as a weapon to manipulate her way into wealth and influence. I dig my nails into my palms. Patricia continues. The evidence will show that Miss Quinn deliberately sought out Luna Thorne's case. That she researched Caspian Thorne's net worth and family tragedy. That every kind gesture, every piano session, Every late-night conversation was calculated to create emotional dependency. She pauses for effect, and when my client, Corinne Vale, tried to report these concerns through proper channels, Miss Quinn and Mr. Thorne conspired to destroy her career with false accusations. This isn't a story about healing. It's a story about manipulation, greed, and the abuse of power. Patricia sits down. The courtroom buzzes with whispers. Then Caspian's lead attorney, a man named Gregory Kim, stands. He doesn't rush, doesn't raise his voice, just speaks in a tone that commands absolute attention. The prosecution's story is compelling, Gregory says. It's also completely false. And over the next few days, we're going to prove it. Not with theories or assumptions, with facts. He clicks a remote. The courtroom screen lights up with security footage. This is footage from St. Meridian's Hospital, time-stamped and authenticated. It shows Ms. Quinn's daily routine over a 6-month period. Notice how she treats every patient with the same care and attention. Notice how she stays late for multiple families, not just the Thornes. Notice how she never once attempts to contact Mr. Thorne outside her duties. More footage rolls. Different angles. Different nights. Now, let's look at Miss Vale's activities during the same period. The screen changes. I watch Corinne enter the pharmacy storage room, exit with her coat bulging, meet someone in the parking garage who hands her cash. The jury leans forward. These clips represent just a fraction of the evidence we've compiled. Evidence that Ms. Vale was engaged in systematic theft of controlled substances. Evidence that she falsified records. Evidence that when she suspected Ms. Quinn might discover her crimes, she launched a preemptive character assassination. Gregory turns to face the jury directly. This case isn't about predatory behavior. It's about a woman who dedicated her life to healing others and another woman who couldn't stand watching someone good succeed. The question you need to ask yourselves is simple. Who do you believe? The nurse who worked double shifts for minimum wage, or the thief who got caught? He sits down. The trial continues for 3 days. Witnesses testify. Nurses, doctors, patients. Luna's pediatrician describes how her mental health improved dramatically after the music session started. Hospital administrators admit they never investigated Corinne's activities despite multiple red flags. On day 3, I take the stand. Patricia Marsh circles me like a predator. Miss Quinn, isn't it true that you researched Mr. Thorne before meeting his daughter? No. You expect us to believe you didn't know who Caspian Thorne was? I knew his name. Everyone in the hospital did. But I didn't research him. I didn't care about his money. I cared about his daughter. How convenient. Patricia smiles coldly. And these late-night piano sessions, did you consider how inappropriate it was to spend hours alone with a patient? Luna was never alone with me. The door was always open. Nurses checked on us constantly. Everything I did was documented. But you developed an emotional attachment. Admit it. I meet her eyes. Yes, I care about Luna. I care about every patient I treat. That's not manipulation. That's called being human. Patricia tries to trip me up for 2 hours. But I don't break. I don't cry. I just tell the truth. When I finally step down, my legs are shaking. But I held my ground. On day 4, the prosecution rests. The defense rests. The jury deliberates for 6 hours. When they return, the forewoman stands. In the case of Vale versus Quinn and Thorne, we find in favor of the defendants on all counts. The courtroom erupts. Corinne's face crumbles. Her lawyers scramble to call for appeals. But it's over. I turn around, and Caspian is there, pulling me into a hug that lifts me off my feet. He's trembling. Or maybe I'm trembling. Maybe we both are. It's over, he whispers into my hair. You're free. But as we walk out of the courthouse into blinding camera flashes and shouting reporters, I realize something. This isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning. Justice won today. But what happens when the cameras stop rolling and real life begins? Comment your predictions below. 6 months after the trial, I stand in the doorway of what used to be the recreation room. It's been completely transformed. The Simone Thorne Memorial Music Center now occupies the entire east wing of St. Meridian's 4th floor. There are practice rooms with soundproofing, a recording studio for kids to make music and a main performance space with stadium seating for families. Today's the grand opening. The mayor's here. News cameras. Hospital executives trying to take credit for something they fought against 6 months ago. But none of that matters. What matters is the 12 children sitting in the front row, instruments in hand, waiting to perform. What matters is Luna at the piano, her fingers confident now, her smile radiant. What matters is Caspian standing beside me, his hand brushing mine in that deliberate way that's become our secret language. We never officially labeled what we are. We didn't need to. Somewhere between the trial and the fundraising galas and the late nights planning the center's curriculum, we became something that doesn't fit neat categories. We became partners. Friends. Maybe more. Definitely more. You ready? He asks quietly. Are you? He smiles. I've been ready since the night you told me love isn't weakness. The ceremony begins. The mayor gives a speech about innovation in healthcare. The hospital CEO thanks generous donors. Then it's Luna's turn to play. She walks to the grand piano alone. No guide. No help. Her fingers trailing the wall until she finds a bench. The audience holds its breath. She plays Moonlight Sonata, the same piece her mother loved, the same piece we practiced together in the darkness of room 407 a lifetime ago. But she doesn't play it alone. Halfway through the second movement, Caspian joins her. Then I do. Then the other children with their instruments, a violin, a flute, a cello, a guitar. We improvise together, building something new from something old. When the final note fades, there's a moment of perfect silence. Then the room explodes with applause. Luna stands and bows. Caspian wraps his arm around her shoulders. She reaches out blindly until she finds my hand, and the three of us stand there, a family that nobody planned but somehow makes perfect sense. After the ceremony, I find Marcus in the crowd. He hugs me tight. Mama would be proud, he whispers. Yeah, she would. That night, after everyone leaves and the center is quiet, Caspian and I sit at the piano together. The city glows through the windows. Somewhere above us, Luna's asleep in her new bedroom at Caspian's house. The music room he finally reopened, converted into a space just for her. Thank you, Caspian says. For what? For not giving up. On Luna. On me. On the idea that broken things can heal. I lean my head on his shoulder. You weren't broken. You were just afraid. I'm still afraid, he admits. Every day, I wake up terrified that I'll lose you both. That I'll revert back to that cold man who measured everything in profit margins and quarterly reports. You won't. How do you know? I lift my head and look at him. Really look at him. This man who stood behind a door, listening to music he was too afraid to make. This man who threatened a hospital board to defend a nurse he barely knew. This man who learned to play piano again because his daughter asked him to. Because, I say, love doesn't let you go backward once you've learned how to move forward. And you, Caspian Thorn, have been moving forward since the night you stopped hiding in shadows and walked into the light. He kisses me then. Soft, tentative, like he's asking permission. I kiss him back, like I'm granting it. When we finally pull apart, he smiles. What happens now? Now, I stand, pulling him up with me. Now we keep playing. For Luna. For all the kids who need to remember that joy exists. For your wife's memory. For my mama's legacy. And for us. Especially for us. We play one more song before leaving, an old one my mama used to sing. The notes rise through the empty center, echoing off the walls, carrying into the night, where they'll find whoever needs to hear them most. Because that's what music does. That's what love does. It finds the broken places and fills them with something stronger than silence. It reminds us that even in our darkest nights, even when we're standing behind doors too afraid to enter, there's always a song waiting to bring us home. And as I lock up the center and walk out into the cool evening air with Caspian's hand in mine, I know my mama was right about everything. Kindness is the only currency that matters. Music heals what medicine can't touch. And sometimes the quietest justice is simply choosing to love loudly in a world that told you to stay silent. This is just one story, but there are thousands more waiting to be told. Stories of people who chose compassion over revenge, who fought for what's right even when it cost them everything, who proved that ordinary people can create extraordinary change. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment sharing a time when kindness changed your life. Your story might inspire someone who desperately needs to hear it. And if you know someone who needs this reminder today, share this video. Because the world doesn't change through grand gestures. It changes through small acts of courage that ripple outward until they become waves. Thank you for being part of this family. Until next time, keep choosing love, keep making noise, and never stop believing that your compassion matters. See you in the next story.